Hi everyone, special letter instructor. Good morning, ma'am. So today we are going to learn today's world, especially the two subtopic. First is the world exploring new frontier, and second is the patterns of loving change. So there are many issues affecting to our society today. First is the overpopulation. So when we say the overpopulation, this is refers to a population which exists in sustainable size within a particular environment. So we have the major causes of population. So first is the religious beliefs such as the inability to use contraceptives or practice abortion. So here in the Philippines, we are against that called abortion because that is not good, especially to our beliefs in terms of the religion. So that is why we are involved in having the overpopulation. It's because to our beliefs. Second is the economic factors, which is the need for workers to help the family to survive. And the last one is the lack of having a female education. This is all about the learnings of a female on what is the proper time when she gives a birth. And the effects of overpopulation is first is we have the not enough food to feed, especially in a community. If daghan na mong members, so there will be possibilities na you have magka-shortage mo, especially sa mga foods na di kinahanglan. The second one is the debt, which is ang utang, which is magkautang-utang na kay tungo sa daghan nga panginahanglanon, especially sa daghan nga mga tawo. And the last one is the over-farming, deforestation, and water pollution. So there are reasons why some countries they can solve that called overpopulation, which is one of the issue in the society. So first reason is some countries are lucky enough to possess mineral resources they can trade to obtain the food needed to survive. So it's all about how they allocate their natural resources in an exact manner, especially how they produce the exact goods, exact foods within a particular country. The second reason is some countries secured some countries have secured foreign aid and investment from the developed countries in the world. And the third reason is China stabilized the one-child policy, which can help nga allocate, maka-survive any overpopulation. In the fourth one is some countries where they have the stabilized and developed their industry, which is really help to their production. And the fourth one is many of the region of the world are starting to act as trading partner instead as rivals. So the philosophy is that no country can afford to work on their own. The concept of global economic interdependence is becoming more accepted. So this is all about the regions in how they are going to allocate their trading partners. So the second issue is about the deforestation. This is the systematic destruction of the tropical rainforest. So there are several reasons about the deforestation. First is the harvest of the rare hardwoods. Second is the need for more land to raise the livestock. The third one is to alleviate the problems of the overpopulation. And the fourth one, establishing homes and industry to become developed. So aside for the reason, so there are many impacts of deforestation. First is the extinction of the plants and animals that reside in this ecosystem. The second one is the loss of natural medicines and chemicals that are natural products of the rainforest. And the last one is less oxygen is released into the atmosphere if there is an deforestation, and just as importantly, less carbon dioxide can be absorbed also. This is resulting in the greenhouse effect or the global warming. So the third issues affecting for today's society is the global warming. So when we say the global warming, this is the warming of the Earth's atmosphere as a result of the increased level of the carbon dioxide. So we have also the causes of global warming. First is the burning of any fossil fuel like the gas, oil, and coal. And the second is the use of CFCs, which is the chlorofluorocarbons in aerosol cans like in air conditioner and refrigerator. We have also the effect of this global warming. So first effect is melting of the polar ice caps. This would result in flooding of coastal areas due to the increased level of the ocean. And the second is the changes in the Earth's climate, which is moinit lang kalit, moinit lang og kanang as in init na kaayo, dayon muulan pud og kalit. So, and also this would have a serious impact on the ability to produce crop, especially kung naay mga abnormalities sa climate. There will be possibilities na mo apekto pud siya sa mga imong gitanom. And the fourth issues affecting for today's world is we have the acid rain. So when we say the acid rain, this is as we burn more and more fossil fuels and the concentration levels build up. Now when it rains, these pollutants come back down and cause considerable damage of forests, rivers, and lakes. So areas in Western Europe, now especially in England and the Black Forest also in Germany, are facing serious problem due to the acid rain. And the last one, the lower pH levels of the rain due to the increased sulfur dioxide burn the leaves and other plants, which cause the destruction of the forest and the aquatic life. And the last problem affecting to the society today is the terrorism, which is the systematic use of violence to draw attention to the political goals. So, some of the tactics used are assassination, bombings, and kidnapping. So, this is mo na siyang gitawag na terrorism. And other is terrorist use will strike out against civilians. This is done on purpose to try and gain an advantage and greater attention for their cause. So now let's proceed to the first subtopic. First is the world explored with new frontier, or the exploration of the frontier. So the space began with the launching of the Soviet satellite Sputnik in October 1957. So when we say Sputnik, this is the first artificial Earth satellite which is successfully launched and entered Earth's orbit, which shocked the world, giving the former Soviet Union the distinction of putting the first human-made object into the space. The purpose of this humanity's first artificial satellite is to provide information to density in the atmosphere by calculating its lifetime orbit to determine the effects of radio wave propagation through the atmosphere and check the principle of pressurization used in the satellites. Kuan siya Selby, it is more on the exploration into within the space. So during the World War II, the V1 and the V2 is the most successful building rockets in Germany. So the V2, this is one of the rocket of the Germany. It is used against Britain in the closing year of the war. So during the exploration of the new frontier, yes, it was involved satellites. The purpose of the satellite is to allow the scientists to see and study of the whole Earth in much greater detail than before, or mas ning samot pa siya og ka-high-tech. So also satellites rely to television, the telephone, the signals from places in opposite sides of the globe or around the world. So as you can see in the slide, so that is the V1, the V2, which is the two building rocket of the Germany, the Soviet satellite Sputnik, which came from the Soviet Union, and also the satellite which is really exist at that time. So we have also called the military satellite. So the purpose of this military satellite is the nation can watch over potential enemies or in a way of protecting themselves against surprise attack. So before, mostly kung na mga nahitabo is dili sila kabantay o makalitrag kagubot. But now, due to high levels of technology, it can detect directly, especially those militaries nga involved sa mga war. So unlike the satellites which orbit the Earth, it also discovered the other kinds of robot, the spacecrafts, head deep into the space. So by the early 1980s, spacecraft were traveling to the planets of the solar system, sending back valuable information. So the planets that they travel is the Venus and Mars of this spacecraft. So one of the valuable information is they are about equipped to take the photographs, mag-collect og soil sample which is ilang dalon papunta sa Earth. Next is the Pioneer team. This is launched in 1957, had traveled entirely out of the solar system by 1983. This tiny spacecraft is still sending valuable information back to Earth as it continues its long lonely trip to the star. So in 1969, United States landed the first human being on the moon. So on the first American space station, which is the Skylab. So here, the next slide was lifted into the orbit in 1973. So 3 years po nga explore sa space ang Skylab. So in 1971, the Soviet launched several space stations. Some Soviet cosmonauts have lived in the space station for a full year, which is to perform experiments and also to gather data. So in 1981, we have also called the Shuttle Columbia, which is made its first orbital flight. So in 1986, the Shuttle Challenger, it was exploded, and in 1988, it was resumed with the successful the Discovery and Atlantis. So it was also launched as sun and atomic power proved to explore the sun and carry the telescope to view the distant object in the universe. So as the other journey, in 1992, more countries were planning the space program, and also the Russian government continued some project, and the others were cancelled or put up for sale. So the effects of this exploration is a new knowledge about the Earth and its atmosphere. Second is better understanding of solar system and the universe beyond. And the last one is the development of new technologies in the universe beyond. So we have also called the other scientific frontiers. So this is about the new science and technology have allowed humans to reach farther into the vastness of space. These advances have also made it possible for scientists to explore the tiny world of the living things. So first is the genetic engineering. So in 1950s, James D. Watson, which is the American, and Francis H. Crick's Breton, figure out the chemical processes that inside the gene. So in 1953, Watson and Crick described the structure of a large molecule known as the DNA, which is present in the nucleus of living cells and made up of thousands of atoms arranged like a twisted ladder. So, and based on their discovery, the different arrangement of the atoms in each DNA molecule spill out a genetic code that determine the biological traits of living things. So, and in years followed, scientists learned to change the arrangement of the atom to make new traits, and this is called about the process of the genetic engineering, which is also allow scientists to make new kinds of plants that were more resistant to drought and diseases, other new forms of life, and etc. So as you can see in the slide, mao ni si James D. Watson o si Francis Crick na which is nakadiscover sa DNA o sa genetic engineering. So second is the medical advances. This is the first wonder drugs discovered by the Alexander Fleming in 1928, which is the penicillin. So kaning penicillin, this is kuan siya, wala kani siya naghamit sa World War II kay tungod daghan namang mga antibiotics na na-develop. And also it also witnessed the remarkable advances in the field of surgery. So at that time, during the medical advances, doctors have learned in replacing diseases or damaged part of the body. So a South African surgeon, Dr. Christian Bernard, performed the first successful human heart transplant in 1967, and the other organs such as liver and kidney have been transplanted as well. So on the third scientific frontiers is the computers. This is have nearly unlimited access, can store huge amounts of information, and can guide spacecraft and control military equipment. So the scientists are trying to build computers that use artificial intelligence to think like human beings. And someday, the computers might be think, learn, and create as well as people can do. So puwan-puwan na siya magka-upgrade. And the last one is the superconductors, which is new ways of transmitting the electricity. So now let's move on to our second subtopic, which is the patterns of living change. So first is we have the mass communication. So today almost everyone is familiar with the products of other culture because they can easily watch through television, programs, films, and any popular throughout the world. We brought the culture closer together as the country passed. So it was also involved the Western music, television program, fashion, and films are popular throughout the world. Second is the search for meaning. This is all about the religious beliefs that give meaning to the lives of the people. So in 1962, the Roman Catholic Church has also gained new members throughout the world, with the Pope was convened a special council later known as the Vatican II, which modernized the Catholic religious services and called for unity among all Western churches. So even through the Cold War years, faith lived in due to the communists who ruled partly in Western Europe. Then si John Paul II, he raised his hopes of Catholics na mabalik yung gitawag nga religious beliefs and the political freedom. So in Soviet Union, after ni Gorbachev came to power in 1985, the free practice of religion was allowed in 1990. So the Soviet legislature is officially ended the state of control of religious institution. So meanwhile, also in Asia and the Middle East, they react against the Western culture, and then it was the reason running rise of Islamic vandalism, which is spread to the Islamic country. So as you can see here in the map, so the most leading religious is the Christianity, and the second is the Islam, which is the green one. So and the rest of the color is the other religion. So next is the cultural change. Sugod sa Old Stone Age, tas pag-abot karon is ang mga tao use art to express their idea about them, then life all around the world. So works of art those tell us a great deal about the times in which they were made. So first is we have the painting. So after the World War II, painting was dominated by the abstract expression, and also when we say abstract impression, expressionism, it was pictured as bold colors, large canvases, and some are they applied paint in a random way. So as you can see in the first picture. And during the 1960s, some artists reacted against the abstract expressionism compared to the pop art. So mas better ang pop art daw. So pop art took many of its image from American popular culture. These art painted such as the soft cans, the comic stripes with photographic position nga which is iniglantaw nimo nga kana nga art is dayon ang meaning nga mauna siya ang gidrawing sa usa ka artist. So we have also the contemporary architecture. So most architecture has been influenced by the international style. So this kind of architecture is worked as a geometric shape using industrialized materials such as the glass, the steel, and other concrete. So most of the buildings are very nice lang tawon due po sa mga materials nga ginagamit or mao ang gigamit sa paghimo. So next slide is the postmodernist. This is revived earlier style by using such as the picture of domes, arcs, and columns and their buildings. So as you can see in the picture, that is the Koansha, the postmodernist art, which is, as you can see, compared to the contemporary architecture, is mas better ang contemporary kay mas ning kuan siya ning high-tech or mas ning level up. So kuan siya. So next is the literature. So the literature, post-war European literature, was heavily influenced by existentialists. So when we say existentialist, this is the philosophical theory or approach which emphasizes the existence of the individual person as a free and responsible in determining kung unsa siya the way ang process sa ilang development or sa ilang kinahanglan. And also in literature, we have this artist which is Jean Paul Sartre, which is very famous in here writings about the characters who were cut off from the people of the society around them. And the last one is the global village. Today people in nearly every country have a chance to see how people live. So the television ratio can bring the same events to a million of people around the world. So for example, in watching Miss Universe, it was happened in Florida, United States. So then we can see through televised performances of all candidates even we are here in the Philippines tungkol po na sa the global villages. So the global villages, people of the world can know as much about each other as people in small towns and can know about their neighbors. So that would be all, and thank you for listening.